Boom! So it's this first one. True crime fanatic in South Korea arrested for committing a murder out of curiosity. Because of... Yeah. This is one of like the dark sides of like true crime. Again, we're reading from allthat'sinteresting.com. I'll repeat the title. True crime fanatic in South Korea arrested for committing a murder out of curiosity. This was written by Kaylina Fraga, and it was edited by Matt Crabtree, and it was published yesterday, June 7th, 2023. And it says, Jung Yo-jung, 23, is accused of killing a stranger after developing an obsession with true crime books and TV shows. Damn. This is like, I guess, another iteration of Misery, because it kind of sounds like that plot. If you don't know Misery, Misery is a Stephen King book that was made into a movie, starring... I'm just gonna have to look for it. So it is Kathy Bates. But what? It's such an amazing actress. How could I have forgotten her name like that? But whatever, I had like a brain fart there. Boom. Misery. It's a really good movie. Really good movie. Highly recommend if you haven't seen this movie, and especially the last like 20-30 minutes of it. Yeah, it's intense, and it's pretty... Well, I personally have not read the book. I know people that have told me. My wife read the book, and she told me that the movie adaptation of it is sort of very similar to the book. It does have some differences and whatnot, but it's pretty good. Very well acted, obviously. It's James Caan as the novelist, Paul Sheldon, because the whole plot of the movie is, spoiler alert if you haven't seen, this is a 1990 movie, so if you haven't seen this movie up until this point, it's on streaming services, so definitely check it out. It's one of the better movie adaptations from like Stephen King movies, because some of them suck. Like, not all of them are like it. You feel me? Some of the movies are kind of boring. Albeit the show that they did that only had 2 seasons. Hulu? Really? Really? Such an amazing show with that cliffhanger at the end, and you just left it like that. Listen. Part 2 of the season 2 of that show, it's Castle Rock, is basically a prequel to this movie, because it's the same like lineage of it. So it's explaining, I want to show the actress. It's explaining her, Lizzie Kaplan. Yes. So season 2 is about Anne Wilkes, and it's just describing basically everything that happened before she ended up in the situation that she ended up with that author. The plot of the movie is she kidnaps him because she becomes obsessed with him and obsessed with his books, and she does some things to him that pretty interesting. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If not, again, I highly recommend it. It's a really good movie. It's definitely worth the hour and a half that you're gonna spend watching it. So, people around the world enjoy true crime. Me, I'm that people. But a young South Korean woman's interest in the subject developed into an obsession and, according to the police, led her to murder someone to see how it felt. Damn. As the Chosun Ilbo reports, 23-year-old Jung Yo-jung confessed to murdering a tutor she found online out of curiosity about murder. "I think I was out of my mind," Jung said, according to the Korea Times. Obsessed with true crime stories, Jung allegedly set out to commit the perfect murder herself. The Chosun Ilbo reports that she meticulously prepared for her crime by searching the internet for how to conceal a body, reading crime books, and watching true crime shows on TV. To find a victim, Jung downloaded an app that connects parents and tutors. She posed as the mother of a ninth grade girl hoping to improve her English and matched with a tutor whose name has not been released. Then, Jung set a date a few days later for the tutor to meet her quote-unquote daughter. Here's a picture of her. Oh my goodness. Okay. I won't read the caption because they're going to talk about it here in the actual article. So, for those hearing the audio version, it's just a picture of her, of Jung, and she has a suitcase. So she's rolling a suitcase. That's the picture. She has a mask on. She's wearing, obviously she's walking down the street with the suitcase rolling it. So she has the holder extended, and she's just rolling the suitcase, just like ordinary, regular old clothes on with a mask on, like mask on her mouth. That day, Jung dressed up in a school uniform she'd found at an online flea market and went to her victim's home with a knife. Jung is short, and with the uniform on, the victim probably mistook her for a middle school student, a police spokesman said, according to the Chosun Ilbo. When her victim let her in the door, Jung stabbed her to death with the knife. She then went to a store nearby, bought bleach and trash bags, and returned to the victim's home to dismember her. Jung also carefully collected the victim's mobile phone, ID card, and wallet. But Jung made a critical error. To dispose of the body, Jung hired a taxi to take her to a wooded area near the Nakdong River, where Jung dumped a suitcase full of body parts. Jung's behavior struck the driver as deeply suspicious, and he reported her to the police. The police then found bloodstained clothing in bags and some of the victim's body parts at Jung's home. The 23-year-old true crime fanatic had hoped to commit the perfect crime, but was promptly arrested instead. Though Jung initially claimed that she had killed the woman after they had an argument, she eventually admitted the truth after police found holes in her story, and her family urged her to confess what she'd done. They have another picture of her. Apparently it's her giving a kind of like a press release, but she has her face covered with like one of those like summer hats. Okay. Jung also said she feels sorry for what she did, a police spokesman said, noting that Jung was a loner who had been unemployed since graduating from high school. We are conducting tests to see if she is a psychopath. According to the Korean Times, news of Jung's crime shocked people across South Korea because of its impersonal nature. Jung had no reason to kill except to satisfy her own curiosity about murder. Jung was found to have premeditated the crime, driven by a desire to kill someone after she became obsessed with murder from TV programs and books, the police said. In this case, her obsession was deadly. Dun dun dun. Wow. All I can say is that if this was here, they would have already started the argument of trying to get true crime banned because of reasons. But, you know, it's, again, I've mentioned it here before. It's a morbid thing that human beings have an obsession with, even if it's interesting. And believe me, it really is. Once you go down that rabbit hole, you become a true crimer, like all the way. I at one point only paid Comcast for cable because I wanted Investigation Discovery. But once they launched the app and they started putting things on their streaming services and they put it on Hulu and whatnot, I canceled cable because I didn't need it anymore. That's all I watched. I've mentioned it again here before. I'm mentioning it again. There are very excellent content creators that only do true crime. That Chapter, Coffee House Crimes, Southwest Crime Girl. There's a whole plethora of them because it's a really interesting topic and people love it. And they're also great content creators, so they do an excellent job at going deep into the cases and uncovering things. Not uncovering because they're already covered, but it's talking about them and bringing them to light. In a way, if you want to see it from a positive side, it's giving a voice to those that no longer have it. It's a way of even within its own like morbidness, because it's death. You're kind of honoring the person that you're, the case that you're, not the case, you're honoring the person, the victim of the case that you're watching. And I don't know, I find that a little bit comforting. It makes the thought of, damn, like what I'm watching is like, it's weird, it's intense, that it kind of levels it out a little bit more, because you know, you're watching the very unfortunate event of a complete random stranger being explained to you. And dude, some cases you live that shit. Like, I'll give you an example. So Michelle McNamara, she was Patton Oswalt's wife. Well, that's okay. She is most known, not most known, she is known, in addition to releasing the book about the Golden State Killer and basically being the proponent of the opening and how extends the investigation into finding who the Golden State Killer was. And mind you, she passed away after releasing the book, but before GSK was actually apprehended, which in and of itself was incredible how that happened. She dedicated her life to it. Like, she is a prime example of someone that helped police find someone. Like, she helped law enforcement, and she kept with it up until the very end. Dude, shout out to her. We've talked about her before on True Crime and Murder Mystery Wednesdays when I used to do it. When we covered the Golden State Killer, not mentioning her is just, you know, basically not talking about the case in and of itself. Because, yeah, those things happened, but again, she was the reason why, not the reason, but she was the force behind the desire to want to apprehend this absolute monster. It's crazy. But yeah, she lived that case. She lived, ate, and breathed the GSK case. I remember seeing an interview about that they did to Patton Oswalt, and he had mentioned like the amount of stress that she would go on, like she would find herself under, dealing in one part with the physical ailments of what she was going through, because she was going through some medical problems, and on top of that, then enduring years and years of just interviews and just reliving things over and over. Like, even if it's seeing it from the outside, having something repeated to you all the time, dude, it ends up affecting you. It ends up causing something inside, even if you aren't willing to admit it. So yeah, it's crazy, but shout out to her. Shout out to everyone that is always pushing forward to have cases being solved one way or another. Yeah. Shout out to her. But yeah, this was wonderful. This article. Not what happens, but the article in and of itself, and the fact that we can actually read about it. It sucks that they don't have a video.